I went from being a skinny teenager to being 50 pounds overweight when I was 30 years old. But at 37 today, I'm in the best shape of my life. It took me years of research and trial and error to figure this out. But today I want to save you all that time and effort and give you the 5 evidence-based principles that you need to know about your diet if you want to get in the best shape of your life too. So strap in and let's get cracking. The first and most important principle that you need to understand is all about something called energy balance. And here's how it works. If you're consuming, so eating and drinking more calories, which is your body's source of fuel, than you're burning, you're going to be gaining weight and body fat. But if you do the opposite, where you're consuming fewer calories than your body's burning, you're going to lose weight and burn body fat. This is called a calorie deficit. And when I first found out about it, it felt like somebody had given me the cheat codes in Grand Theft Auto. Because as long as I followed this simple principle, as long as I ate in a calorie deficit, I would lose weight every week like clockwork. I'd spent years trying every restrictive diet and every overpriced supplement, but nothing had worked. Until this. My clothes were fitting better, my belt was tighter on my jeans, and I had so much more energy. It sounded so simple that it was almost too good to be true. Well, it is that simple, but simple doesn't always mean easy, because if it did, I could leave this video here and everybody would be walking around at 10% body fat. The reality is, I found out the hard way that it isn't just that simple. I was gutted because I thought I'd cracked it, but after a few weeks, my progress started to stall, and then it stopped completely. I was making a huge mistake, and it turns out it's way more common than I realized, and it makes complete sense when you hear it. The maths isn't wrong, the maths. So if you eat in a 500 calorie deficit every day for a week, 500 multiplied by 7 is 3,500, so you're going to lose 1 pound of fat each week. Here's the problem. Theory belongs in the classroom, and it doesn't account for a few things, whether it's traffic jams, kids, annoying bosses, hangovers, sicknesses, arguments with your partners, train delays, or whatever else it might be. Because at the end of the day, you're a human being and not an AI robot. Every day is different, and perfect days are exceptionally rare. And some days, you're just gonna need that extra large pizza. So I realized I needed something more flexible if I was gonna make this work in the long term. So I dug deeper into the research, and what I found was game-changing. In fact, this is one of the best tactics that helped me to lose those 50 pounds. And the best part is, it's so simple, because all you have to do is take your daily calorie deficit target and multiply it by 7. And now you're looking at it like a weekly budget, because your body doesn't care what you're doing day to day. It's thinking bigger picture, and so should you. This way, if you go over one day, it's not a disaster. Manage it just like you would your finances. If you go overdrawn on your calories one day, you just save back some more the next. And when you get more experience with this, what you can do is actually plan ahead. So what a lot of my clients do is front load their low calorie days when stress tends to be a little bit lower and motivation tends to be a little bit higher. And that means they've got high calorie days banked for the weekend where they want to go out with their friends, when their stress levels tend to be a little bit higher, when motivation is waning, and when they're slightly more tired. And this approach is flexible, it's realistic, and most importantly, it's sustainable. And the best part is you won't feel like a failure when things don't go to plan, because that's the biggest problem. So many people will fail on, say, a Wednesday. They'll miss their calorie deficit target and they'll think, oh, well, the diet starts again on Monday. But this approach means you can avoid this endless cycle. But for you to put this into practice, the first thing that you need to do is calculate your calorie deficit. Now, you can use a very simple equation to do this if you want, where you just multiply your body weight in pounds by 14 and then subtract 500. But here's the thing, that won't give you a precise number, because your energy balance is based on your physiology, so your age, your weight, your height, and your sex, but it's also largely based on how active your lifestyle is. So what I've done is create a completely free calorie calculator that will give you a precise calorie deficit target, which is unique to you. And if you want to use it, all you have to do is click the link that's underneath this video. It's only going to take you 30 seconds, and as I said, it's completely free. And remember, once you get that number, you want to multiply it by 7 to give you your weekly calorie budget. So that's the first principle. Understand your energy balance and eat in a weekly calorie deficit. The second principle is designed to help you to stick to your diet. And this is really important, because the research has shown us that not only do 95% of people fail to lose the weight and keep it off, but most of them regain that weight and then some. So if that sounds like you, don't worry, because you're certainly not alone. But if you dig deeper into that research, you'll find that the number one factor that the 5% of people who did succeed share has nothing to do with what they ate or when they ate. It was all to do with adherence. In other words, their ability to stick to their diet. But adherence isn't about willpower or motivation. It's about sustainability. It's about understanding that what works for one person might not work for you. It's about having the mindset to think in months rather than days, because Rome wasn't built in a day. And most importantly, it's about making sure that your diet is enjoyable to you, because then it'll never feel like you're on one. And the way to do that, the way to improve your adherence and make your diet more sustainable, is to make sure that you're including treats every day. Now, treats are obviously going to look different for every single person, but it's about having something in your diet every day that feels like you're cheating, even though you're not. Because even though you're going to have that treat and even though you're going to have it every single day, it's still within your calories. And that treat is exactly what's going to keep you under your calorie budget, because it's going to keep you sane. I have 2 treats every single day. One is a big glass of Fanta Lemon Zero Sugar, which has 5 calories in it. And the other is some dark chocolate after lunch and dinner. Now, the calories in dark chocolate are equal to the calories in milk chocolate, but the quality of the ingredients is much higher and it's far less Moorish. But the point of this principle is that I enjoy everything that I eat, and that should be the goal of your diet too. Listen, it's going to take a little bit of time for you to construct your perfect diet, for you to find the treats that work for you, that you enjoy, that are within your calories. But it is such a worthwhile task, because once you've done it, you only have to do it once, and it's going to make your diet effortless. You want to build your diet with the 80-20 rule in mind, where you're eating 80% of your food to fuel you and 20% of your food for fun. Or another way of looking at it is that 20% of your diet is going to keep you sane, because really, this is all mindset. By the way, if you're still with me and you haven't already, now would be a great time to tap that subscribe button. The third principle is to make sure that your diet is balanced and omnivorous. Like the first principle, this sounds so obvious and so straightforward, but millions, maybe even billions of people at this point have spent years yo-yoing from one extreme diet to another. And by the way, I was one of those people. One year you're keto, the next you're vegan, then you're carnivore, and now you're intermittent fasting. It's the diet equivalent of keeping up with the Joneses, but you want to avoid all of them, because not only do you not need any of these diets, but they're actually going to work against you. Because time and time again, the science has shown 2 things. One is that all 3 macros, protein, carbs, and fat, are not just valuable, but essential for healthy life. And 2 is that we should be getting our food from both plants and animals. We've all heard that protein helps us to build and then maintain lean muscle mass, but what most people don't realize about protein is that it's also a fat-burning powerhouse. And that's because it helps to keep you feeling full. And it does this because it's the hardest of the 3 macronutrients for your body to break down, digest, and process. So what happens is the protein physically sits in your stomach. And when it sits in your stomach, it expands the walls of your stomach, which sends a signal all the way up to your brain, telling it that you're full. The other huge benefit of protein over carbs and fat is that it's the most thermogenic of the 3 macros, which means when you're eating a high protein diet, you're already burning more calories, because it takes more energy, more calories for your body to break down and digest the protein. You want to get your protein from lean meats, fish, eggs, and dairy. But if you're struggling to hit 100 grams a day, don't be afraid to supplement. Whey isolate is the highest quality and most calorie efficient, because it will only cost you about 100 calories a day from your weekly budget, but will give you a 20 to 30 gram boost of protein. Now, carbs get a bad rep, but they're your body's preferred source of energy. Without them, you're going to feel sluggish and your workouts will suffer. And that means you're going to find it harder to burn more calories. After intense exercise, your muscles use up their glycogen stores, which comes from carbs. Replenishing those stores helps you to recover faster, it reduces soreness, and it prepares your muscles for the next workout. Carbs also play a major role in fueling your brain, which is the most metabolic organ in your body. If you've ever felt foggy or had trouble concentrating, it's probably because you're not eating enough carbs. Your brain runs almost entirely on glucose, which comes from carbs. So when you're not getting enough of it, your mental performance can really suffer. And listen, before someone says, "Oh, but your brain can run on ketones," that's like putting diesel in your petrol car when the petrol pump is right there. Your brain will only operate at about 70% max on ketones. So if you're skipping carbs, you're leaving 30% on the table. Again, don't get mad at me. It's science. It's also worth saying that if you cut your carbs too low, your body will start to metabolize, start to break down protein and fat, which means the protein and the fat can't be used for its intended source. This is a process called gluconeogenesis, which happens in the liver. Now, it's a big fancy word, but it really isn't that complicated if you flip it on its head and break it down. So we've got gluconeogenesis. So we're going to flip it and we're going to break it. So we've got genesis, which is creation, neo, which is new, and gluco, which is glucose. So it's the creation of new glucose. So this is what's absolutely wild and most people don't realize. They think when they're skipping on carbs that they're not going to be getting sugar into their body. False. Your body will make its own sugar. As I said that, I just realized how much I sounded like Dwight from The Office. False. But the point is, if this happens, it means your protein and your fats can't be used for their main purpose. Then we've got fats, and healthy fats provide two functions. They're designed to support your immune system and your hormone system. The other really cool benefit of fats is they help with the absorption of nutrients, vitamins, and minerals when you're eating food. Fats also give us longer lasting energy. So while carbs are used for quick energy, fat is like our backup fuel. Fats help to keep your energy levels stable throughout the day and prevent those horrible mid-afternoon energy crashes that we're all too familiar with. The fourth and final principle is probably the most underrated and definitely the least understood, but it's just as important as the others. Because if I was to tell you that there was one simple habit which you could do every day for free that was going to boost your energy levels, give you more mental clarity, and make it easier for you to stick to your calories without any crazy routines or taking any pills, you would think it's too good to be true. But that's exactly what drinking more water does. Hydration is so important, and it's not talked about enough because there's only 3 things that we do every day from the day we're born to the day we die, and drinking water is one of them. So it's up there with sleeping and breathing. But so many people are walking around dehydrated and they have no idea the negative effect it's having on them. Water is like your body's secondary energy system. Think of the calories that you eat, like the petrol that you put in your car to get it started. But think of the water that you drink, like the oil you put in your car to make sure it doesn't break down. That's how important it is. Every single cell in your body requires it to function correctly. And the absolutely crazy thing is that it only takes you to be 1 to 2% dehydrated for the negative effects to kick in. The main one being that you start to feel more lethargic, and when you feel more lethargic, you do less. And when you do less, you burn fewer calories. But the other one is that it becomes much harder to control your cravings and stick within your calories. Because just like eating more protein, water sits in your stomach and expands the walls of it and sends that signal up to your brain, telling it that you are full. So make a point to drink more water. But listen, I'm sure I'm not the first guy in the world to tell you to drink more water. I know you know it's important, but a lot of people struggle with this. And I think they struggle with it because they're not focused on it. And they're not focused on it because they don't understand the importance of it. Well, hopefully now I've conveyed the importance to it. So you should be more focused on it and you should want to try to drink more water. But if you're still struggling, there's 2 very simple tricks that you can use. First and foremost is to always keep your water in your eye line. Keep it in your periphery vision. You can't see it right now, but there is actually a big 2-liter bottle of water right on the edge of my desk. This bottle of water never leaves my eyesight, and as a result, I'm staying hydrated throughout the day. The second trick that you can use if that doesn't work is to actually invest in a water bottle. I'm not talking about spending hundreds of dollars here. I'm talking about going on Amazon and spending 10 to 20 bucks or 10 pounds, whatever it might be, on a simple water bottle. Because I guarantee you what you're doing there is you're upping the stakes psychologically. And as a result, you're going to be more focused on it. But if you're still not bought in and you don't believe me, listen to this crazy stat. I recently did a survey where I asked some of my existing clients what the #1 game-changing habit had been for them since they joined my coaching program. And over 50% of them said that it was drinking more water. So there you have it, gents, the 4 simple evidence-based principles that I've used to build the diet which has got me into the best shape of my life. But before I leave you, I've got one more thing to tell you about. Because if you're the type of person who has watched this video all the way to the end, one of 2 things has happened. You've either fallen asleep to the sound of my melancholic voice, or you like the sound of what I'm saying. Hopefully it's the second option. And if it is, I suggest you go ahead and click the second link in the description that's underneath this video, which will take you to a website where you can learn all about my coaching program. But listen, I'll be honest with you, it's not cheap. But the way to look at it is that you can either pay with time or you can pay with money. Time is so much more valuable. You could go down the path of spending months, if not years, of trying to figure all this out of yourself. Or you could hire a coach, and if I do say so myself, a pretty damn good coach who's going to get you there in weeks. And I know what you might be thinking, Doug, it's December, Christmas is coming up, I've got to buy all my gifts, I've got no money. I get it. And that's why I'm taking deposits for the January intake now. So if you are interested, go ahead, scroll down, click that link, check out the program. If it's for you, go ahead and apply, or we can have a chat one-on-one and see if you'd be a good fit for it. Anyway, I'll leave the video here. I hope you enjoyed it, but more importantly, I hope you found it useful. Listen, YouTube is going to chop another one of my videos up here. I have no idea which one it's going to serve you, but YouTube is pretty smart and it knows the sort of thing you're looking for. So if you've enjoyed this video, I suggest you go ahead and watch that one.